This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony alongside Mike Somich today as we welcome you back to the program. You missed any of the first hour of the show, rather. Whew. Get it together, Stormy. Make sure you download Money Moves in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. We got some fun coming up this hour as well with the Kentucky Derby officially coming up this Saturday. David Aragona is going to join us of the Daily Racing Form oddsmaker, handicapper, break down the field. Mike, I'm already just mentally preparing for you to commandeer that segment. I'm just going to sit back, relax. I'm going to be a third wheel that whole time.
I love David. David's a really, really sharp dude. Does the morning line up for Naira as well. So puts in a lot of work on the horse racing side. Love his work over at DRF. He used to make videos, horses who got bad trips. I love trip handicapping. So excited to have David on the show. Looking forward to pick his brain. And I don't know who he's selecting yet in the Kentucky Derby as well. So excited to find that out.
Yes, that'll be fun. He's going to join us in about 15 minutes. We'll also, of course, have plenty of NBA and NHL postseason discussion throughout the hour. But I want to get started here with a little Major League Baseball because we do have first pitch in Royals A's coming up here in a moment. The Royals plus 104 road dogs here. The A's minus 126 in what is a rubber match for this one. Been a low-scoring series, lower than expected, at least in my mind, knowing what a hitter's park we have out there in Sacramento. Anything that stands out to you in this one?
Yeah, back-to-back unders. Who knew? I didn't think that was possible up there in Sacramento. I kind of like the Athletics, but the price isn't right to me. I would want a little bit. Like, this Royals team has been pretty bad, and they've been a little bit better recently, but struggled with the bats yesterday, losing to this A's team. Springs on the hill here for the A's. I do think that they should be slight favorites, but again, I think this is priced around correctly. I thought this should be right around minus 130, so not one that I want to get involved in here. If anything, it would be A's first five for me, but again, I think this is one of those games where it's priced correctly. I don't want to force a baseball play.
Yeah, no, heard that, especially on a day where it is a little bit of a shorter card. We had so much action in the day portion of the slate, 2 double headers today as well. We don't even know the pitching matchup yet for the game 2 of Giants-Phillies, who ultimately that's going to be. The one thing I was just going to say about this one, looking for the numbers for Cameron, better showing his last start, even though he still gave up 3 earned runs, 6 1/3 innings against the Angels, gave up 5 apiece, however, against the Yankees and White Sox prior to that. But the A's have struggled against lefties. So I had when I was looking through a lot of the numbers on this one, I felt like there were a lot of conflicting stats. So I, like you, stayed off of this one. There is one bet, though, on the MLB card later on tonight that you do have interest in, and it's this Toronto-Minnesota game. Kevin Gausman, Bailey Ober on their respective hills. Rough stretch for the Twins lately. Dropped back-to-back games against Seattle, 11 of their last 13 the last 2 weeks. Do you think that continues today?
I do, and this is one of those spots where we all talk about priors a lot when we're talking about the NFL and kind of when you eliminate your priors. Priors in baseball, a much more difficult discussion of when you kind of get rid of those preseason thoughts or when you start to meld in the current data. I look at my priors, and I have this game at like minus 170 for the Blue Jays, so there's no way I can't bet them here at minus 136. I think the Twins are the worst team in the AL Central. I have a White Sox win total over bet. I think the White Sox are better than the Twins. I'm not sure how they did what they did to start this season. But hey, it's baseball, short sample size, anything can happen. But now you get a Blue Jays team that's starting to play better baseball. I have a ticket on them to win the AL East. So for me, this is a team that I was very high on and a team that I was very low on heading into the regular season. And it feels like we're starting to right the ship in both directions, that the Blue Jays are starting to figure this out, starting to play better baseball, and the Twins that realize that they stink. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lean into that, especially with the current pitching matchups. Gausman versus Ober. Gausman, to me, has a far superior advantage on the hill as well. So give me the Blue Jays minus 136 today. Don't mind laying the 1.5 here, plus 129 either, if you want to look for a plus money price.
Yeah, to your point, the Blue Jays trying to stay hot here, won 4 of their last 5, 7 of 10, as you mentioned, kind of righting the ship. And then you have a guy who's been a key anchor of the rotation on the hill. Feels like, maybe I'll tail you on this one. I didn't have any MLB bets today, but since I can't bet the hockey, Mike, maybe I need a sweat while I'm traveling later on. So maybe I'll go down that road. I was also looking at, game 2 of this doubleheader with the Astros and Orioles. Lance McCullers against Brandon Young here real quickly. Orioles minus 132 favorites in this spot. I don't really have a firm opinion on this game, But I was reading our guy Adam Burke's MLB preview article earlier this morning, which, by the way, if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you get unlimited access to everything that we have at the website, including the daily articles that are put out in every sport. But Adam, who we have on the show every Tuesday, does a great job with these things. And he was talking about the Astros bullpen specifically. Worst ERA in baseball, 6.27, highest FIP, 5.89. And the Orioles, well, they're not amazing. They're kind of middle of the pack in those categories. So Burke was writing that maybe the Orioles could have some late game advantages here if you were interested in them on the money line. Was there anything that stood out to you in that game coming up a little bit later on tonight?
I mean, let's be honest, Stormy. They probably have some early game advantages here, too, with Lance McCullers on the hill. He has not been great for years at this point, and has all the talent in the world. It just seems like it hasn't been able to put it together for him. It would be Orioles or pass for me here. Another one where I haven't bet this one because I didn't have a huge edge, and it's the second game of a doubleheader, and we don't know what relievers we're going to use in game one yet. So there's a bunch of these other mitigating factors that make it harder for me to want to jump in to the pond here. If we get a situation where you see Houston use their bullpen in game one, all of a sudden I'm more interested in the Orioles in game two here, because then McCullers has to go deeper into this game. You don't have the arms that you may want to have available later. That, to me, adds more value on the Orioles. So I'm going to keep an eye on that first game. I'm going to see how deep the Astros have to go into the bullpen. And if it is a situation where you're using some of your better bullpen's arm, or you're using 4 to 5 pitchers, that's when I would be much more interested in the Orioles here, because I'm not sure how long McCullers goes in this game.
Yeah, Lambert pitched 4 1/3. We've seen 3 other guys so far as we're in the 9th right now. We'll see if the Orioles can hold on here and potentially go back-to-back for the doubleheader, up 10-3 right now, although the Astros do have 2 on right now with no out, so we'll see how this plays out late in that one. Okay, let's shift gears from Major League Baseball, because like you said, it's kind of a weird slate today with the way I'm excited we have day baseball. I feel like we never get it lately. I don't know what's going on. We had every single team in action the other day. No day baseball. It made no sense to me, but, above my pay grade with the schedule makers. One game I wanted to hit on, though, in the NBA that we didn't get a chance to a little bit earlier, Denver and Minnesota, Game 6. Minnesota, we know, up 3-2 right now. Nuggets really responded last game. No Anthony Edwards, no Dante DiVincenzo. Nikola Jokic finally woke up. Does it feel like they're not only going to win tonight, but come all the way back in this series? How do you see it?
It sure does. I mean, especially if we don't have Anthony Edwards on the court in Game 7. This is a spot where you kind of feel for the Timberwolves. I thought they played really well early in this series and were able to get them in a positive position, but injuries just have not broken their way. Without DiVincenzo, without Edwards, you're also having some liabilities on the perimeter on the defensive side. I haven't bet the game, but to me, if you want to look at a point prop here, Murray's sitting at 25.5. He's going to play big minutes in this game. He's going to be a big part of this offense, and you don't have the stoppers defensively or the ability to switch defensively like you would have had you had both of them in the game. I think this is a situation where Murray able to have a pretty big game in this situation in big minutes. So Murray over points prop would be the direction I'd look at this. And if you wanted to just take Denver on the series and try and get a better price than what you would here on the money line in this game, assuming they're going to be 10 to 12 point favorites like they were last night, I think this is a good spot to play Denver on the money line, or play Denver for the series in this situation.
Yeah. As for tonight's number, 6.5, that current spread, total 225.5. And those are both numbers that we've seen move to. Denver was a 5.5 point favorite, bet up to 6.5. The total from 224 to that 225.5 across the board. I don't have anything in this game, but it just feels like, to your point, this is Denver's to lose now, despite the way that they've had to come back in this series. It's been such a clunky set for them. And, I mean, Rudy Gobert did such a good job on Nikola Jokic for so long in this series. And then it's just, for whatever reason, maybe you just feel the opportunity looming without Anthony Edwards out there. Is this not becoming a pretty nice, budding rivalry between these two based on how the last, 4 years have gone, having to meet repeatedly in the playoffs?
Who knew that playing the same team in the playoffs in 7-game series would make it a little more interesting year after year, Stormy? Way to bring that back. Good job there.
There we go.
To pull in a Marvel reference here, it kind of feels like Jokic is channeling his inner Thanos here and is about to snap his fingers and say this is inevitable, that Denver's going to get through. Just the injuries that are stacking up on the Minnesota side make it very hard to believe that they're going to be able to pull one of these 2 games out. If they do, it probably is tonight if we don't have Edwards in Game 7. Yeah. But I don't know where the offense comes from, and I'm not sure that this defense is going to be able to hold up without having Edwards out there as well, because he's a big part of the defensive game plan for this Timberwolves team too. So to me, that injury is twofold on how it affects this team.
I know something that JVT had talked about prior to us actually seeing games in the playoffs was like he called his shot that Denver was going to beat San Antonio and punch their ticket to move on. How do you feel based on what we've seen from Denver at this point? They would match up with a Spurs team and Victor Wembanyama with the way that they have performed.
I think that, again, like you need a healthy Aaron Gordon out there. He needs to be 100% if Denver's going to be able to pull off that series win. I just don't see him getting to that point. Wembanyama has time to rest, so that concussion becomes less and less of an issue. And you look at like what guys like Castle and Harper were able to do for the Spurs in that series. You've got role players stepping up for San Antonio. You have role players who are disappearing for Denver. And if you're going to make the case that Denver's going to be able to beat San Antonio, you have to believe that the role players on Denver are going to be better than the role players on San Antonio. And after watching that first round series, I'm not sure how you still make that argument.
Yeah, I think to your point, Aaron Gordon's health is going to be a real key factor for anything Denver moving forward. They are minus 150 favorites to come back in this set despite trailing a game where things sit right now, again, 6.5 tonight. And on the big board for the NBA Finals, OKC, odds on, and they have been, minus 125 to win it all right now. San Antonio, though, 5-1 shot. Boston plus 550 before we get out to the double digits. The Cavs 16-1, and the aforementioned Denver Nuggets sitting at 22-1. And we will continue to talk all things NBA postseason throughout as we go, but get excited, Mike. Your time to shine, as if it hasn't been already today. Kentucky Derby talk coming up after this. David Aragona going to join us of the Daily Racing Form, talk through, yes, what his pick is, who he has to win, but there are so many different angles that you can bet races like this and so much going on throughout the course of the weekend. Stick around. More Money Moves coming up after this on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Perhaps the greatest betting race known to mankind arrives this weekend out there in Louisville, Kentucky. Stormy Buonantony, Mike Somich with you back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. The 152nd Run for the Roses, the Kentucky Derby, coming up on Saturday. So excited to break it all down, not only with Mike, who is our resident horse racing expert here at the network, but also good friend David Aragona joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line, kind enough to give us some time in what is a very, very busy week. Daily race form, odds maker, handicapper, doing it all. And we were kind of just joking in the commercial break. Do you just want to get the run over with now, just to know who wins because you put so much time and effort into previewing this bad boy?
Yeah, there's so much talking about the Kentucky Derby, so much thinking about the Kentucky Derby, and not just this week leading up to it, but the months ahead of time. You're trying to find your Derby horse, assess these prep races, and now all the work is done. We have our opinion set. Yeah, let's just get the race off and find out if we're right or wrong.
I'm looking forward to it here, 7 o'clock on Saturday. We will find out who is going to win the 152nd Run for the Roses. And when I was handicapping this race, David, I thought it was wide open. I mean, I felt like you could make a case for 5 or 6 horses. We're seeing with the early money, so happy right now. Your second choice was 15-1 on the morning line, has been bet down to 6-1 with about $1 million in the pool. Did you have that same mindset that this felt like a very wide open race?
Yeah, I think that it's very competitive among maybe the 6 or 7 top contenders that you're going to see sort of separate themselves from the rest of the field in the wagering. I do prefer 1 or 2 among them of the shorter prices in this race. But yeah, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised to see any one of 6 or 7 horses cross the wire first on Saturday.
Well, talk us through some of those horses then that you think have the best opportunity to be the champion when all is said and done.
Yeah, I really like number 6 Commandment in this Kentucky Derby. This is a horse that I've been pretty high on going all the way back through early in the prep series, and he's just kind of risen to every challenge that's been thrown ahead of him on the road to the Kentucky Derby. He's won 4 races in a row on the way in. I think he's come through the most difficult path to get to the Kentucky Derby, facing the strongest competition in the preps down in Florida, the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby. And what I really like about him is that not only is he beating some other really good horses, but he's doing it with different styles, different race setups, and he seems to handle it all. So given the fact that he's able to win in close finishes, come through traffic, I just feel like he's shown this set of assets that are going to really play to his strengths on Kentucky Derby Day in this 20-horse field when all of these horses are encountering a new situation for the first time. I feel like Commandment's got the right mind and set of characteristics to handle this on Saturday.
I was talking about Commandment on VSiN at the track a little bit earlier today, and I kind of comped him to Epicenter, where a horse that you just trust is going to run well and has a versatile style that you can kind of handle whatever the pace is going to be. To me, he's one of those horses where if you're playing tries, playing supers, even if you don't have him on top, he's got to be in there because it feels like he's going to be involved right at the wire. And when you're talking about Commandment, you mentioned the Florida circuit. You kind of have to talk about both the Puma and Chief Wallaby. Now, the Puma feels like we kind of know where we're going to get a little bit more, kind of the Mage-esque route, going to drop back, make one big run, see what happens. Chief Wallaby has been one of the more polarizing horses through the last couple weeks. We see Bill Mott decide to add blinkers, huge workout at Churchill, but a horse that hasn't really gotten his mind to the level that his talent is at quite at this point. What do you make of the Puma and Chief Wallaby, the other two main rivals coming out of Florida?
Yeah, like I said, I do think that the Florida races were the toughest, so I'm not going to be surprised when any one of these 3 horses out of the Florida Derby wins the race, but it's the Kentucky Derby. You can't bet everybody. You've got to make some tough decisions, and the one that I'm kind of downgrading is that polarizing horse you mentioned, Chief Wallaby. To me, when I watch back those 2 preps, the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby, I just thought he didn't run nearly as well or quite as well as Commandment either time. They're adding blinkers to try to see if it can get him an extra length or half a length to make up the difference. But I generally don't like moves like that. I do think that the Puma is an interesting contender to potentially turn the tables on Commandment because he made this early move to take over in the Florida Derby. It wasn't even a race they had to win because they already had the points to get into the Kentucky Derby starting gate. So I thought that he's run really well. He's improved in every start. Like you said, the connections have won this race before. Javier Castellano knows how to ride the Kentucky Derby and a horse like this. So between the 2 of them, I kind of prefer the Puma, but I did think that the results in those Florida preps were pretty true, and Commandment was the one that I wanted a little more than the other 2.
It is interesting. I was going through, Patrick Everson does a great job, Vegas Insider reporting, said Chief Wallaby as well as Emerging Market have been a couple of those wise guy plays that have stood out. So like you said, polarizing, Mike, certainly. David Aragona joining us here, Daily Race Form on the progressive guest line here, Money Moves. For someone like me, so last thing, at least from me about the Derby specifically, for someone like me who is a little bit of a novice, I like having fun. I like putting together like a trifecta box or something like that. Where should we be looking? Like, what should we be piecing together to get bang for our buck, but also feel confident in what we have?
Yeah, so I think those wagers like the trifecta are great to play on the Kentucky Derby because they tend to pay with gigantic payouts, especially when you get some of those long shots included. The horses that I'm going to key on, Commandment, the Puma, Renegade, they're kind of the logical contenders. And I'll throw in a couple long shots as well. The number 10, Wonder Dean, a horse from Japan. He's a horse that I want to have in my tickets at a big price. Got a little interest in a horse like Patente. He could be a big price in this race that you want to throw on tickets as well. But I definitely think you want to have that mix of the logical horses that are the shorter prices, but also some of those bigger prices that could spice up the exotic wagers.
2 more horses I want to talk about. Let's start with Renegade, the one. You mentioned there you do think that's a horse you want to be using in trifectas. We've seen the one post be absolutely atrocious in this race. No winner since 1986. Just one horse the last 10 years able to hit the board. Renegade most likely just going to drop back and close, so may not be as big of an issue for him. What did you make of Renegade drawing the one? Does he deserve to be the favorite in this race?
I understand why he's the favorite. He was really impressive when he won his final prep race in the Arkansas Derby. I mean, the way that he finished off that race, it kind of gave you the vibe that a little bit of extra distance is not going to bother him at all in this Kentucky Derby. So I understand why some people view him as the most likely winner. I don't really understand this conversation around the rail being bad for him because he's not a horse that needs to go forward. He can just drop back. He's probably not going to get into much trouble from the inside. And we've seen since Churchill Downs introduced this new starting gate in the year 2020, and they've used it since then, the rail has not been the big disadvantage that it used to be. So I'm not too worried about it with Renegade.
Now, the other horse that I have found very difficult to handicap is the number 18, Further Ado. 6-1 on the morning line, a horse that has been awesome at Keeneland, but not really anywhere else. And we're coming out of the best buyer of anybody in the field with a 106. What do you make of Further Ado, and what trip do you think he tries to get out of that 18 post?
Was talking about all the horses I'm going to use. I did not mention him. You've got to leave out some horses in the Kentucky Derby, and he's one that I found myself landing on the negative side of, because, yeah, if he runs his best race, he's going to win. I'm just not confident he can do it. Like you mentioned, he's done his best racing at Keeneland. This race is not going to be run over the Keeneland surface, but also the two races that make him the favorite, one of the favorites in here, his maiden race and the Bluegrass last time, they were just accomplished against horses that are so much weaker than the ones he's going to meet on Saturday in the Kentucky Derby. So I want to see him prove it against tougher competition before I back him in a race that's this tough.
This past football season, sorry, real quickly, I just wanted to say, Mike, I did a game at Kentucky this year, and I got the full treatment at Keeneland, and it was maybe the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I'm obviously never going to get invited to Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby, but going to Keeneland was unbelievable. Sorry to cut you off, Mike. Go ahead. So cool. I loved it there.
I wouldn't say that's obvious. We need to get you up to Saratoga. We got to get you to Saratoga one time, just so you can experience horse racing up there. It's otherworldly. All right, we do have other races over this weekend, and one of the most popular bets is the Oaks Derby Double. So the Kentucky Oaks, race number 13 on Friday from Churchill Downs, is the 3-year-old fillies that are going to try and crown their champion there. I think this is a great Kentucky Oaks betting race. I think you can go multiple different directions. What are you doing in the Oaks here, and do you have a Oaks Derby Double that you're going to be playing?
Yeah, I'll definitely play the Oaks Derby Double because I feel like I can narrow down the Oaks a little bit more. It's a race that when you pull the PPs and you look at all the merits of the horses, they look very similar, but there are some that I think have more of a chance to step forward than others. I did land on the morning line favorite, Zany, but she's going to be a pretty lukewarm favorite. I don't think she's going to be a clear-cut choice in here, and I do feel like she is the most likely winner of this race. I know that she lost her most recent prep to another horse that's back in here, Percy's Bar, when they ran in the Ashland. I thought that Zany had the tougher trip. I think that she's going to love the longer distance of this race more than anybody else. So Zany's the one that I would key on, and I would definitely key her in the first leg of an Oaks Derby Double, using a little bit of the number 10 Prom Queen as well. She's the other horse that I like a little bit in here. I thought she looked really good when she won her prep race down in Florida last time, but Zany was my strong opinion in the Oaks.
David, awesome breakdown. We so appreciate your time today. Do not work too hard, though. I know you said that the work is done, but I know there's still stress going into these last couple of days before the race. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You still got to formulate your bets and hope to cash on Saturday and Friday.
No doubt about it. David Aragona, everybody, make sure you check out the Daily Racing Form because we've got a special Derby package going on right now. Gives you past performances, clocker reports, expert picks all in one place. And you can save 37% right now, but only for a limited time when you go to shop.drf.com or check this out. Got a QR code right there on your screen. Put the phone up. Check it out. Get there now. DRF. Bet smarter today. We've got to step aside here. When we come back, though, we got to hear Mike's plays for the Derby as well, ladies and gentlemen. We're not letting this guy off scot-free, okay? We're putting him to work. Stick around. More Money Moves coming up after this.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Tony, Mike Somich holding it down here. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We were just saying in the commercial break, the show's gone by fast. It's been a fun day. Plenty of hockey action to discuss, which is always nice with a couple of junkies like the two of us here. And it's a huge weekend for you as you are like our resident expert at the track with the Kentucky Derby coming up this weekend. And obviously, Mike, this is one of those races that even if you're somebody that doesn't know anything about horse racing, you have never bet it before, you want to bet this race because it's so massive and there's so much fanfare around it. How much excitement have you and the whole crew had getting ready for this weekend?
It's been crazy. I mean, it's always a whirlwind with Kentucky Derby. Obviously, after hitting the Super last year, that kind of it got exponentially busier here for me this week. But excited to be able to kind of get horse racing out to more people, because it is one of the few sports where in 2 minutes you can turn $24 into $1,600 like we were able to last year. And so having the opportunity to be able to talk about why I love the sport and the idea of handicapping it and how I handicap, I think is something that I always love sharing with people. If you are looking for more information around the Friday Oaks card or the Saturday Kentucky Derby card, we're obviously going to talk about the Derby and a little bit about the Oaks here. Go check out VSiN at the Track. You can find it at VSiN at the Track over on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Yeah. We've got an episode up of all about Friday's card and all the news that broke yesterday, and then all about Saturday's card and all the news that broke today around it. So you can get all of your bets. So when you're at your Kentucky Derby party, you can A, understand what they're talking about, and B, you can sound like the smartest person in the room. So have a little fun with it.
Well, real quickly, can we give our audience at least a little sneak peek of some of the news that broke? I know we mentioned it earlier off the top of the show. There were some scratches, but any just treetop items people should really know ahead of this weekend?
Yeah, we have. I mean, the key talking points are first off the 2 scratches. So we lost the number 13 Silent Tactic and the number 20 Full Effort. One was scratched yesterday morning. One was scratched this morning. So the 21 and 22 Great White and Ocelli draw into the race. Neither really a threat to win the race. However, Great White does add a little bit of more pace to this scenario. To me, it's a fascinating Derby just because of the storylines you have around it. You've got So Happy, who's going to be a horse that is going to have a lot of love go his way. It's a horse coming out of California where the trainer lost his wife shortly before they started this Triple Crown Trail, and this is his first time at the Kentucky Derby. You've got the number 9, the Puma, which Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, don't know if you ever heard of them, bought into this horse. And so a horse named the Puma, which is an awesome name in and of itself, now has a huge fan following coming up here on Kentucky Derby Saturday. Chief Wallaby, the same connections that won this race last year are back. However, they're adding blinkers. Blinkers is something where literally it's like on your eyes to make you focus forward so that you don't see the horses around you and you kind of stay to task a little bit more. A horse has never won the Kentucky Derby when adding blinkers. 0 for 13 over the last 25 years. So storylines galore here amongst your favorites. And then we have the favorite, Renegade Draw the Rail, which I mentioned has not won a Kentucky Derby since 1986. So it's been 40 years since the One Post has won a Kentucky Derby. And we've not had a horse run in the top 3 since 2017 from the One Post as well. So a lot of different storylines heading into this race. It's going to make it absolutely fascinating.
Okay, so you said it, Mike. Everybody is like waiting with bated breath to know what the Superfecta is this year after you were able to hit last year, and it was so much fun. We're working on pulling the video so that we can play the live reaction from last year because it was so cool. Can you tell people what the Superfecta play is for Saturday?
Of course. All right, so let's start out on top. Look, I agree with David. I think Florida is absolutely the best circuit. And so for me, I want to lean on that. Where we differ is I think Commandment is the 3rd best horse, despite winning both of those Florida preps. I fell in love with Chief Wallaby the minute he crossed the line in his debut race 3 races ago. The move that he was able to make was absolutely breathtaking, especially for a 3-year-old that had never started before going 7 furlongs. You fast forward to the last 2 races, you can make excuses for why he lost a Commandment. He was wide two races ago. Last time out, you could tell he was green. You could tell he needed the blinkers. So we're adding him, and hopefully that gives us the ability to step forward here. So I'm going to take Chief Wallaby, the number 12 horse on top. Right now, 10-1 in the betting market. So Chief Wallaby is my pick to win this race if you're just putting in a win ticket. From a Superfecta perspective, I am going to lean on those Florida horses. So that's the 6, the 9, and the 12. I had the 20 scratch this morning, so it changed everything up for me. So I ended up putting in the number 11 into the adding into the Superfecta here in that 2nd spot, and the 18 in the 3rd and 4th spot. So I'll read this back to you real quick as the ticket on the screen, not the ticket that's going to be the Superfecta for me here because of scratches. But the ticket I am going to play is the 9 and 12. So the 9, the Puma, and the 12, Chief Wallaby, have to run first. The 6, 9, 11, and 12 in second. The 6, 9, 11, 12, and 18 in third, and the 6, 9, 11, 12, 18 in fourth. So that's 9, 12 with 6, 9, 11, 12 with 6, 9, 11, 12, 18 with 6, 9, 11, 12, 18. For $1, that's the base wager in the Superfecta. That's going to cost you $36 because there's 36 separate ways that they could run 1 through 4. But the key here is we need either the Puma, the number 9, or the number 12 Chief Wallaby to win. You can follow me over at SamaBomb18.
Yep.
I will post up the ticket there once we have that graphic for you to make it easier for you to bet.
Yep.
And you can also get the you can also get the VSiN Kentucky Derby betting guide here, where I wrote a superfecta article with a small budget ticket, which is this $36 ticket we're talking about, and then a medium and large budget ticket as well, in case you'd like to bet more on the Kentucky Derby.
And that's a great reminder, too, with the Kentucky Derby betting guide out right now. Yes, you have Mike's Superfecta, but a full breakdown of the race, each horse, expert bets, predictions. You'll also have Oaks and Derby previews, post-draw analysis, race day coverage, full slate of races all week long. So make sure you check it all out right now as a part of our Triple Crown special, because, yes, you can get the guide, but you can also get access to everything that we have going on at VSiN right now. So all of the horse racing coverage through the Belmont Stakes coming up in June, as well as unlimited access to the daily articles on all sports, all of our NHL and NBA postseason stuff. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can get in there and join us right now. Just $14.99. Hard to beat. Doesn't get much better than that. Now, as you mentioned, all of the numbers for the horses, I did want to follow back on our conversation real quickly with David Aragona of the Daily Racing Form. Great breakdown with him and his opinions on the race, but we were talking about the Oaks Derby double, and he mentioned he liked Zany, and I know that you wanted to follow up with the numbers for people that makes it a little bit more consumable for them.
Yeah, he mentioned Zany, who is the number 2 horse. So if you want to play David's Oaks Derby double, it would be 2-10 with 6. So the 2 and the 10 horse in the Oaks and the 6 horse in the Kentucky Derby. As for the Kentucky Oaks, I like a price in that race. I like the number 9, Always a Runner, quite a bit. 10-1 on the morning line for Chad Brown. Jose Ortiz rides. This horse actually almost died this winter with pneumonia, and so was delayed at getting to the racetrack. Actually had to go into a hyperbaric chamber for a racehorse to be able to help get back to her health. She cost over $1 million at auction. And then had all of this health trouble, was finally able to get on the track for the first time down at Tampa, won that race, and then stepped forward right away into an Oaks prep and came back and looked awesome doing so and winning that race. Chad Brown, after the race, the trainer, mentioned she was only about 75 to 80% cranked. So meaning that she wasn't fit yet. She wasn't fully informed yet. She still had more that she could build off of that. If she runs back to her last race, I think she's good enough to win. If she improves, I think that she is a clear contender here in this race. So I like the number 9, Always a Runner. And I'm going to be playing a 9-10 with 9-12 Oaks Derby double. So the 9 and the 10 in the Oaks with the 9 and the 12 in the Kentucky Derby.
And again, have no fear. If you didn't have the pen and paper out, VSiN.com/picks. All of the picks are available there as well. We've got the guide. We've got all of that great stuff. So I know it can be tricky sometimes. A lot of our audience is driving around in their car, trying to do some chores at home and stuff. You might not have that pad next to you, but we've got you covered. Don't worry. It is really, though, a whole weekend event out there at the track. And I am curious before we move on. We got best bets coming up in the next segment. But any other race or news item or anything that people should know before we have to take a break?
If you want an undercard, but I really like the number 9 horse or the number 4 horse in race 9 on Saturday, a horse named Stark Contrast, who's going to come back and try turf for the first time in the 3-year-old season. 4-1 right now on the morning line. That's one of the horses that I absolutely love. It's also a fun day at Churchill today. Like if you're looking to play horses right now, they're on the 6th race. It's called Thirsty Thurby. So it's the Thurby before the Kentucky Derby, and they've got a bunch of specialty drinks at Churchill Downs. They make a weekend out of this whole thing. It's a phenomenal scene to be able to go and be able to watch. You've got great action all week long. So make sure you check out Churchill Downs today, tomorrow, and Saturday. You've got betting opportunities all 3 days.
The Thurby before the Derby. That is an absolute vibe, Mike. And to follow up real quickly, too, what I was saying last segment about going to Keeneland last year, I was actually really, really sad because I got an Instagram DM that was inviting me over to Churchill Downs. Like, they didn't have anything going on, but just to actually see it because I had never been inside there, obviously, before. And I didn't see it until after I had already gotten back home to Vegas. I was devastated. And Keeneland was unbelievable. We got to see so many fun races. I actually won a couple based on just picking names, which I know is not a good strategy typically, but it worked out for me that day.
You and Matt Brown.
I know. Just when we were bonding over our, relationship with hockey, and then I go full Matt Brown on you at the horse racing. I'm so sorry. You thought you were free of it for
I
the
got
day.
PTSD from the Matt Brown name picking.
Okay, when we come back, our best bets for the night, and we finally got the video. We're going to hear that live reaction from Mike Superfecta last year. It's too good.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Sovereignty over journalism, followed by Baeza and final gambit. Give me that Superfecta, baby. Let's go. We cashed it with Sovereignty on top, journalism second, Baeza third, final gambit fourth. Woo! I love me some Kentucky Derby action. That is how you hit the Superfecta.
I just got chills all over again, ladies and gentlemen. That was the live instant reaction to the Kentucky Derby last year when our own Mike Somich hit the Superfecta. And I don't know if I'm crazy here, but is there potential that you are wearing the same shirt under your jacket right now that you were wearing that day? And could that be good vibes going into the weekend?
You know, I wasn't even thinking about it. I may just have to put this one in the closet, just have it hanging up right here, because it may actually be the exact same outfit now that you mention it. When I look at it, it's that white shirt and it's the black jacket. So I may just have to run this back. And speaking of running it back, that was last year live during the Derby. We're on here on VSiN proper as well as on Mad Dog Sports Radio. We will be live on Saturday from 4 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. Patrick Maher and I taking you up to the 7 o'clock Kentucky Derby and then recapping everything. So we'll see if history can repeat itself here. Lightning strikes twice, and we can be live again this year for that Kentucky Derby. So make sure you check us out on race day as well this Saturday, 4 to 8 Eastern here on VSiN.
I am here for it. I got chills, I'm telling you, all over again. That was awesome. And with that, while we're reminding our audience of where you can get content, so you had a new VSiN at the track today. After we're off the air here, you have another show that you're going to be on, correct? What's next?
Next for me is the Magic Mike Show, a podcast I've done with racing dudes for about 5-6 years. We're going to cover the late pick 5 on Kentucky Derby Day. So 4 stakes races leading up to the Derby and the Derby as well. It'll be a multi-million-dollar pool. I love playing multi-race bets.
Yeah.
So pick 5s are basically like parlays where you have to pick the winner in 5 straight races. So it's like a parlay in the sports world, but the returns can be astronomical, especially when you're closing with the Kentucky Derby. So we'll be running that one out there. I'll tweet that out as well if anyone wants to take into that content. If you want more picks for Kentucky Derby week, they're all over the place. If you want to watch VSiN at the track from yesterday, you can get picks for Friday. Today's episode will be all about Saturday. And then Mark Malusis and I will be here on Money Moves tomorrow, where I'm sure we'll be talking about the card that's going on at Churchill during the show, as well as talking about more of the races on Saturday and, of course, the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, and for any of you that are on YouTube TV or the VSiN Watch app, we just had that QR code up, which will be throughout the network today. You can scan that and make sure you can find VSiN at the track wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you're just going through the apps, you can. Also, you did a great sales job, apparently, Mike, because we got a tweet at Warrior013. Matt says, wife and I watching the show and might just pay that $14.99. We are horse junkies. Tell the VSiN crew you made another sale. Talking about our Triple Crown special that we've got going on. Let's go. VSiN.com/subscribe if you want all of the content through the Belmont Stakes, in addition to all of the horse racing content like we talked about. You get everything we've got going on at the network, which includes all the NBA, NHL postseason action, MLB regular season. And as we get going here, it's such a great time on the sports calendar as always. And now our time has almost come to an end, Matt. Mike, now I got Matt Brown on the brain after you called me him. Let's get to our best bets for the day. We like to recap, look back before we look forward. And so I had a little bit of a hockey slump there for a minute, and I have worked my way out of it. Last night was such a good redemption tour for the program. We got Montreal on the money line. We talked about this earlier. I know you were on that side as well. Just did not make sense. The pricing in that series based on how we knew every single game had been a coin flip, so just a numbers play. That comes home on the Canadians. The first period under trend, you also mentioned, we got that home. None of those games had gone over in the first period, and it closes out once again. And JVT, he was giving me grief yesterday, today, ladies and gentlemen, doubling down on the Philadelphia Flyers because I already had them for the series at plus 140. Cashed that and the money line last night for the Flyers minus 122. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to have bets tonight. And I told you guys some of my opinions. I think if I could have a bet today, I would probably be on the Oilers Ducks under, even though it's gross, even though it's sickening. It just feels like it could be, of all of the games in this series, one that could be a little bit tighter checking, a little, more defensive with it being a game of this magnitude. We'll see. But because I'm on hold, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I will be on the Vegas-Utah game tomorrow in Salt Lake City for ESPN. And then I don't know where I'm going Saturday. I have a one-way ticket booked to Utah right now, and I have no idea if I'm going to Edmonton or Dallas after that. So prayers up for your girl. And again, that's only if there's a game 7 based on tonight's results. We'll see. You, however, do have some plays for tonight. So let's get to it. What is in the account?
Well, first off, don't shed any tears for Stormy Buonantony here. The fact that you get to go to Utah for this game and then you're forced to go to a game 7 in either Dallas or Edmonton. Rough life, Stormy.
Also,
real
can I
tough,
just say, though, when I was like, as I was talking about that, I'm like, oh, look at me coming across as being so busy after you just said, like, how busy you really are. Like, mine is nothing compared to what you've got going on this weekend, my friend. But okay, go ahead.
We're going to start out with that Oilers and Ducks series. You mentioned the under. I kind of agree with you. I do think that if there is going to be a defensive game in this series, it is probably going to be game 6 and possibly game 7. But I'm just going to go with the better team. The Ducks are the better team in this series. Now, you have Connor McDavid and Draisaitl on one side. I get it. They're the best players. Hockey is not basketball. Because you have the best player in the series does not mean you win the series in the NHL. You've got to be able to roll 4 lines. And the Ducks' second, third, and fourth lines are simply better than what Edmonton is putting out there in this series. Give me the Ducks tonight, plus 110 at home to try and close this puppy out. I think it should be a great game. If you've not tuned in to playoff hockey, this will be a real, like, both games tonight are going to be phenomenal. But this is going to be an up and down, high scoring, or at least high chance affair with a lot of drama involved. So this is one that if you're not a big hockey fan, make sure you check out the Ducks and the Oilers tonight.
Beautiful.
Second best bet.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep it going. Just reel through because I don't have anything else tonight, unfortunately.
Second best bet for me, we're going to head to the diamond here. The Blue Jays minus 135. I can't get to this number. I mentioned earlier in the show, I have my priors at like minus 170 on the Blue Jays tonight. I think the Twins are the worst team in the AL Central. I got an over ticket on the White Sox to back that up. And I think the Blue Jays preseason, I had them as a team that I wanted to bet to win the AL East. So to me, this is a situation where I'm going to kind of rely on those priors. We've seen these two teams regress back to the mean as the Blue Jays have played better baseball recently. The Twins have played much worse. And oh, by the way, you've got a pitching advantage here for the Blue Jays as well, Gausman versus Ober on the hill. So give me the Blue Jays minus 135. I believe it's a 440 first pitch here on the West Coast, 740 for anybody out there on the East Coast. So still some time to get that one in. And I'll round it out with a play from the NBA here. Give me Jason Tatum over 10.5 rebounds, plus 105 tonight. He's gone over 11 rebounds in 3 of the 5 games of this series. With Embiid back last game, he got 14 boards. I expect this to be a situation where you're going to see a few more smaller lineups from Boston to try and expose Embiid on the defensive side. That puts Tatum at the 5, gives him more opportunities to be able to pull down some boards. So I'll go with Jason Tatum over that 10.5 rebound number at plus 105 tonight as well, Stormy.
I will have you know, Mike, I told you I needed a sweat as you were breaking down the Blue Jays game. I mentioned earlier I was going to join you, and it is in the account now. And actually here at Circa, I got minus 130, so let's roll. I'm on the money line with you for the Blue Jays. Let's get it going. Also in the NBA, even though I didn't have any plays tonight, I do feel pretty good about the Knicks. I know it's on the road. I know it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about it a little bit earlier. It feels like that last game, the Knicks just kind of figured it out, right? Like it seems like maybe I should just do it. Should I make it official? Minus 2.5 with the Knicks? Should I just fire on that too? Let's do it. I'm wild and now. Now I'm just.
I think actually.
Go ahead.
You need the sweat. You got to get something going. I think they figured it out two games ago. And I didn't see any adjustments from Atlanta that made me think that they could turn a knob to be able to solve the problem that the Knicks are now posing to them, specifically on the offensive end. I think this is a situation where the Knicks get the job done. A little worried about Josh Hart. We'll see if he ends up in the starting lineup or able to make it out there today. That's the one concern I have for the Knicks. But I'm not sure what adjustments the Hawks are going to be able to make that they didn't make in Game 5 that are going to really flip this series back to their advantage.
Justin hates me because I'm supposed to, and like this is just par for the course. I'm supposed to put my plays
Put it
in
in
the
the
rundown.
rundown,
As you know,
Stormy.
yours are in there. But yes, I made it as we're talking. These bets are being made on the fly. Knicks -2.5 today. Let's roll with it. And I'm with you on the Blue Jays -130. Look at us go. I can't believe we're done already, but you'll be back tomorrow. Again, you mentioned it with Mr. Malusis. The moose is loose. Gonna be holding it down tomorrow, but I should be able to join the program as well. So I'll be here to preview Little Vegas, Utah with you guys. Should be a very, very fun game. Meanwhile, keep it locked right here because after the program, Follow the Money is coming up next. I know you got a great fill of hockey talk with Mike and I today, but get excited for this. They're going to have Eddie Olczyk join the program, talking not only hockey, but he's going to have his Kentucky Derby picks as well, given all of the, like, that is, what a cool job he has. You talk about me getting to go to a Game 7. Does he not have the best of it all?
He does. I got to say, also a great dude. Actually, have had a beer and played a horse racing tournament with Eddie O in Chicago
awesome.
before. Sat at the same table as him. Got to meet his dad. Didn't like him as an NHL player because he was on the Blackhawks. But that being said, very, very good dude in real life.
Run that back. You got to play that for him a little bit later on today. For Mike Savage, I'm Stormy Buonantony, our awesome producer and crew, Justin Emery. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Again, keep it locked on VSiN all day. Follow the Money with Mitch and Pauly coming up next.